It is the most perfect fall day today. It's like 58 degrees, sunny, a nice breeze, and I can't believe we're gonna have our first frost and hard freeze tonight in this weather. But that's where we are. So today I'm prepping the garden for, I guess you could say, winter. It is coming upon us soon, so I'm prepping the garden for that, getting it ready for our frost tonight for the first one, pulling out all the sheets to cover it up with, and putting mulch around everything to try to keep it warm. But I've been out here for a little bit already weeding because it needed to be done, and it was just a very relaxing weeding morning for me. Just getting to be quiet in my own head, spending time with the Lord, and getting out those weeds from the garden that seemed to just pop up overnight. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to tackle today on our to-do list is pulling up all the zinnias. Sadly, I'm going to harvest all the flowers off them that I can, and we'll make bundles to give to people, and then we'll get them pulled out and put into the compost. Zinnias are definitely just an amazing variety of flowers to grow because they're so hardy. They give off so much, and they're not high maintenance, and they don't need a lot of upkeep, and they're beautiful. I just got a mixed color seed variety pack from our local gardening store, and I just tossed them in a row all in the garden, and they were just so beautiful this year. So we'll definitely be growing those next year. I tried to grow some dahlias on my patio, and they did not do well because they weren't getting enough direct sunlight. I just don't think it was a good place for them at all. So next year we have a long row of zinnias, and next year I'm going to do this way, a long row of dahlias, and it's going to be so beautiful, and I can't wait. Notice while pulling these up, we have some little volunteer zinnias scattered around trying to make their way in this warmer weather still. It's really sad and hard pulling all those up because they just brought so much joy through the summer, and it's crazy because a lot of them are almost as tall as me. But I think the harder part is it's like there's still butterflies and bees all in these things, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. They're gonna be gone tomorrow, but I'm just pulling them up today. And they just still, like, that's their little part of summer too that's left over. One thing I'm definitely getting done today is, you can't tell it as much, but this bed is like all mounded and all over the place from just where we were pulling up the sweet potatoes. So I'm gonna smooth that out and try to get the mulch more on top, because as you can see, there's already weeds popping up everywhere. So putting the mulch on that should help just cover it up and keep it less weedy. Okay, sitting down to talk for just a second. For some of you, I don't know if I've ever chatted about this, but our garden, we try to keep it as organic as possible. We don't use any harsh chemicals or pesticides on them. We go all natural all the way, because I do a lot of that in my life and I don't want to put it on my food too. So we are doing all of our garden beds are the Back to Eden gardening method. If you've not watched that movie on Amazon Prime, I highly recommend it, because if you weren't already wanting to garden, you will after watching that video. So what that means is all these garden beds, we put down a thick layer of newspaper first, so just on top of the grass. Then we put down a thick layer of compost on top of the newspaper, and then a thick layer of wood chips. And all of our wood chips we got for free from a local place where you can just go pick them up. It's like the city, where they just bring all of the limbs they've cut and grind them up. It's really nice. Definitely check out and see if your town has that. So by doing that method, it drastically decreases the weeds. Like, seriously. I talked about having to come out here and weed this morning, and the only places I was having to weed was the places where I put fresh compost down for seedlings and planted into the soil, and I hadn't put wood chips on over it. And there were so many little weeds popping up. So I had to come out and weed that this morning, but it worked so well. The biggest thing that I love about it is it keeps the moisture in, so your dirt doesn't dry out, but it also keeps moisture out. So like heavy rains, it's not flooding your garden. So we actually just added 2 more beds, so I'll show you that now. Okay, so this is our full gardening space. Originally, we just had this one square back there. That's originally all that was back here. And then in the spring, we added on these 3 beds. And now this fall, we've added these 2 beds. So again, probably only that first one is the only one that we didn't start off as the Back to Eden, but all the other ones are that way. So we've been growing in these 4 beds for probably a year and a half now. And since it's cooled off, we went ahead and added these 2 beds to use in the spring next year. So I'm really excited about that, because it gives us extra gardening space. And I'm just so looking forward to being able to plan on what to put in here all in the spring, and I'm already thinking about it now. So in our first bed, we have cosmos flowers that we put in for the summer. They're so beautiful. They're just really great to have outside. They are not good cutting and vase flowers because they shrivel up very quickly. So I'm gonna pull these up today too. I wish so bad I could save them because they're so beautiful, but they're gonna die tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull them up. I won't be saving any flowers from them because they just don't hang out well in a vase, but it's just a sad day to pull up flowers. It looks so much more tidy, but also a lot more sad. So what we have right here are our peppers, and those will most likely die out tonight. Basically 100% guarantee it. So I'm gonna harvest whatever peppers we have on there. I'm not gonna pull the plants up just in case they decide to maybe do well. And then this back here is our borage flower. We talked about these last week, and these are our candy cane peppers. They should be red and green striped when they're fully ripe, but they're not gonna be able to ripen. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull what we have off that is good, so that they probably will taste okay. They're just not gonna be fully ripe. So like I mentioned, this is our borage flower. It is supposed to be a frost tender one, so we'll cover it up and see how it does. But it gives off blooms that can be used for medicinal purposes, which is why I'm growing it. I put it in probably around August, so it's grown really well. We've just not had any blooms yet. It's so sunny and bright. It's like the most beautiful day and completely cloudless. But the time change caught me off, so I couldn't get out here before the sun really came up because I slept in. As I'm going through all of this and kind of pulling out the flowers, I'm trimming up our brassicas that I grew, oh man, like in the summer, and they're still growing. They've not gone to seed. So I kind of pulled off their extra leaves that have been eaten by bugs, and we'll put that in the compost. And I'm probably gonna go ahead and pull out this huge wild cherry. The tomatoes don't taste very good anymore, so I'm not gonna harvest them off of it because I think they're just going bad. But I'm gonna go ahead and rip up this big cherry and try to, there's so many cherries on the ground. Like, we're gonna have so many volunteers, and we already have little volunteer cherries popping up in the walkways growing on their own. So I don't think I'll have to plant these next year at all because they'll grow on their own. See, this is a little volunteer cherry. Another little volunteer cherry. And obviously those will die out with the frost, but next spring they'll start popping up from where the tomatoes have fallen. Okay, let's see if I can get this monstrosity tomato plant pulled out. One cherry tomato plant. Like, from here to here, all the way up to there. Such a monstrosity. And now I'm gonna try to pick up most of these cherries that just fell off because we just don't need that many volunteers. Okay, I'm just walking some trimmings over to the compost. We have so much to put in the compost, which is great, but a lot of work to do and get done today in preparation for this frost. Okay, I'm at a really good stopping point for today. We'll come out here later and put all the sheets on to keep them warm overnight, and hopefully they'll be okay in the morning. And then I'm gonna get the boys to put all those flowers in the compost because I pulled them out. They can help and put them in. But kind of the last summer chores in the garden, and then we'll officially be into the fall. Thank you for hanging out with me today, guys.